Hare Krishna Mataji, you may start again.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, we are reading from Śrīla Prabhupāda-līlāmṛta, Volume 2, Chapter 59, A Summer in Montreal. Montreal, June 3, 1968. In Montreal, Prabhupada often sang a Sanskrit prayer composed by a great Vaishnava, King Kulashekara. While walking around his room, sitting at his desk, or roaming through the house, he would sing to himself, and the others would hear him. He would chant it is a Sanskrit mantra, but to a tune of his own in a voice that dropped to a deep low tone at the end of line. Krishna tavadiya pada pankaj panjarantam adveya me vaistu manasa raj hamsa प्राण प्राणप्रायणं सम्ये कफवत् पित्तै कण्ठावरोधाना विधौ स्मरणं कुतुस्ते. In India, almost 20 years ago, Prabhupada had translated and written commentary on this and several other works. The prayer of King Kurukshetra for his Back to Godhead newspaper. Now, during the summer of 1968, while still recovering from his heart attack of a year ago, he sang this particular verse often, and several times he explained its meaning to the devotees gathered in his room in the evening. Swans have a proclivity to stick their long neck and underwater and wrap them around the stem of the lotus flower. So King Kurukshetra is praying, My dear Krishna, may the swan of my mind enter the network of the stem of your lotus feet. He is praying to do so now, at the present moment, while he is healthy and can chant Hare Krishna and entangle his mind in Krishna's thought. Therefore, King Kurukshetra wishes that he may die immediately, because he feared that if he wait until later, when the time of death come, he will be choking, the element of his body will be disturbed, and there will be a death rattle like ghar. How will it be possible then to remember Krishna? Prabhupada's health, however, had improved. Rising early, dictating Srimad Bhagavatam, going for morning walk, taking full lunch. He was the healthiest he had been in a month. After lunch, he would nap. At least he would try, although many of the floorboards in the house would speak loudly when stepped on. Later in the afternoon, he would often ask for a watermelon or cantaloupe, and in the evening, either he would meet with devotees in his room or go to the temple for kirtana and lecture. After returning at night, he would call for that puffed rice set. Puffed rice, fried peanut, fried potato, and slice of cucumber. So Prabhupada was well, yet more than once he remarked to his servant, If I become sick, do not take me to the hospital. Simply let me chant Hare Krishna and die. The summer of 1968 was a relaxed time. Without many outside engagements, Prabhupada would spend most of his time in his apartment on Prince Arthur Street, a 5-minute walk from the temple. In his room, he would often meet with disciples visiting from various centers in the United States. Sometimes he would sit in a chair on the front lawn speaking to visitors, or in a later morning sit out back in the driveway while Gaura Sundara messaged him. One day, while Prabhupada sat in the warm late morning sun, some of his disciples came and sat on the ground at his feet. The sunshine is so powerful, Prabhupada explained. There are planets where the trees are miles tall, just being supported by the sunshine, and all planets are supported by the sunshine. It is so powerful. One of the Prabhupada's reason for coming to Canada was to get permanent residency status in both Canada and the United States. While in Boston, he had received an order of Daniel from the immigration department directing him to leave the country. For the past 3 years, except for his 6 months in India, Prabhupada had managed to extend his stay in the US by extending his temporary visa. But now, on a technicality, he had been denied permanent residency. From Montreal, he wrote the district director of the US immigration in Boston. In your order of Daniel, you have clearly mentioned in paragraph 4 that your Daniel denial order was not on the basis of my qualification of religious minister, but on your discretion, for the reason that I submitted my application just after a fortnight of my arrival in the USA, and I have their letter of confirmation with me. In your notice of denial of May 3rd, 1968, you have mentioned that there is no appeal for this decision. As such, I did not prefer to appeal in this decision, but I left the USA as per your direction. Now I am simply requesting you to give me your valued direction what to do next. Brahmananda wrote Prabhupada from New York explaining his plan to get a lawyer and to appeal, but Prabhupada, now skeptical of US lawyers who took money and resolved nothing, chose instead of to make a new application as religious minister for ISKCON. Although US immigration had denied his application ostensibly on the ground that he had been in the wrong immigration status, Śrīla Prabhupada suspected that the State Department was not overly fond of Indian Swami. I understand that government of the USA is disgusted with so-called Swamis because they have exploited the people in so many ways. That is fact. And if I would have been in the government, I would have also considered like that. So they have not got a very good opinion about this rascal Swami. Under the circumstances, it will be difficult to get me admitted as a Swami, although I am not a Swami of the rascal group, but we have to prove it by action that this Swami is not like those Swamis. These remarks was made by Mr. Alan Burke of the television company. He introduced me to the public as here is a real Swami, and he showed me all respectful compliments. Anyway, I am not after respectful compliments by the public, but I am concerned more about my disciples. I want to see them quite able to preach this sublime doctrine of Krishna consciousness, and therefore I wish to stay. Otherwise, I am not attracted for any place, either hell or heaven. Prabhupada accepted the denial of permanent residency in the United States as Krishna desire and blessing. Now, instead of returning to the US, he would go to London and the European continent. Mukunda, Syamasundara, and other disciples in San Francisco had asked Prabhupada if they could open a center in London, and on June 7, Prabhupada replied, as a sannyasa, I should not fix up at a certain place and take your service comfortably. It is not the desire of Krishna. He wants me traveling throughout the whole western part of the world, and therefore I think it is Krishna's desire that now I shall start my activity at least for some time in the European countries. So it is almost certain that I am going to London by the month of August, and if you all wish to come there, then you can prepare for the trip. Prabhupada's plan was to travel and preach with a party of devotees who would support themselves by distributing Krishna conscious literature. But as Syamasundara was already building a cart for the second annual Rath Yatra festival in San Francisco and his wife was pregnant, uh, Prabhupada advised him to wait. After the Rath Yatra festival and after his wife had delivered her baby and taken a month's rest, Shyam Sundara and his family could go to England. Prabhupada asked her that Mukunda also go. I shall go to England for the time being. Prabhupada wrote Mukunda and start a center there which is long overdue. But more important than traveling or obtaining permanent residency in the US was the publication of Prabhupada's book. Prabhupada felt that writing and printing books was his best contribution in the executing his spiritual master's order. So when Brahmananda came to Montreal from New York with the printer's gallery proof of Bhagavad Gita and teaching of Lord Chaitanya's, Prabhupada was very pleased. Macmillan Company was publishing Bhagavad Gita and Prabhupada himself was publishing teaching of Lord Chaitanya through the Nippon in Japan. Because Brahmananda had contacted the editor at Macmillan Company, Prabhupada created him with the success of the Gitas being published by such a famous company. Brahmananda was also Prabhupada's man for dealing with the Nippon. Both books were on tight printing schedules and Brahmananda had to return quickly to New York with the corrected proof. Brahmananda, I came up to show Prabhupada the gallery proof for both teaching of Lord Chaitanya and Bhagavad Gita as it is. I just happened to have both gallery proof that had arrived, so it was wonderful things to bring this gallery proof to Prabhupada for checking. I was there only for a few days, maybe weekend or so. Prabhupada personally read through the entire gallery and made notion in his own hand. He did the proofreading of the gallery. Everything was done by Śrīla Prabhupada. It was very personal kind of things. Of course, that gave Prabhupada great pleasure because he wanted his book published and we had started to do it. So Prabhupada took great pleasure in proofreading those galleries and he handed them to me. And it was very wonderful. When one of my book is published, Prabhupada said, I feel like I have conquered an empire. Having books in the print gave meaning to Prabhupada's fight for US residency and only with these books published could he tour Europe. Krishna conscious literature was solid evidence that his movement was not concocted fly by night yogi's dream. Let the government leaders and scholars read this book. Let the student community read them. Any intelligent man would be impressed. This book were the most enduring glorification of Krishna and the most powerful propaganda for spreading Krishna's teaching throughout the world. Far from being the speculation of an ordinary conditioned soul or subject to mistakes and cheating, these books contain the teaching and activities of Lord Krishna, the science of Krishna consciousness passed down by the great acharyas. They were book of perfect knowledge. Before Brahmananda left Montreal, Prabhupada asked him to send the Srimad Bhagavatam second and third canto manuscripts from the closest in his New York apartment. By October, as soon as teaching of Lord Chaitanya was printed, he would have the manuscript ready for the Nippon. Speaking to Brahmananda and others in his room, Prabhupada charged them with the organization of book sales. There would be no scarcity of books, but his disciple would have to sell them. When Prabhupada had been alone in India, he had printed, gathered statements from scholars, advertised and distributed his book. But now he was depending on his disciple. They recognized the importance of his books, but they had no idea or means for distributing them. Prabhupada assured them, however, that by applying his instruction and trusting in Krishna for result, they would be successful. Prabhupada and Brahmananda discussed a plan for starting their own printing press, perhaps in Montreal. With the cost of printing so high, Prabhupada wanted some of his disciples to learn the technique of book publications. He suggested that one of his disciples in New York learn to run press and some of the girls learn to compose type. Thus, in the future, he might be able to start his own press in some convenient location. Despite Prabhupada's plan for preaching in Europe, obtaining permanent residency in the United States and Canada, printing his book and starting a press, his life remained regulated and simple. He would give Srimad Bhagavatam lecture in the temple and daily see guests in his room, constantly thinking, writing, chanting, and speaking about Krishna and how to spread Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada was the driving force of a revolutionary movement, yet he mostly stayed at home, spending much of his time alone or in simple domestic dealing with his servant. One quiet afternoon in Prabhupada's sitting room, Govindadasi was bringing Prabhupada his prasadam when Prabhupada spied a baby rat running across the floor. Immediately, Govindadasi set the tray of prasadam down and tried to catch the rat as it darted toward Prabhupada's desk. Getting up quickly from his seat, Prabhupada also joined excitedly in the chase. Then another rat appeared. When Harinama, visiting from San Francisco, heard the commotion, he came to the door and offered to help. Taking up a shoe box, he began chasing the rats, finally catching them both and letting them loose outside. Later, Prabhupada walked into a room where Gaura Sundara and Govindadasi were working and told them, if you kept everything very clean, this rat wouldn't come. If someone is very much attached to his dwelling, then he may take his next birth in that dwelling as a cockroach or a rat. These are sinful living entities and they are taking their birth because of that attachment. He then asked Shivananda to seal up the cracks in the floor. Sometime when Prabhupada criticized Govinda Dasi for her mistake, she wouldn't take it very emotionally and go into the bathroom and cry. One night while cooking Prabhupada's puffed rice said, Govinda Dasi made the peanut too dark. Why are these peanut black? Prabhupada asked as she served him his prasadam. Why have you made them black? When Govinda Dasi began to cry, Prabhupada criticized her all the more. Why are you crying? You are crying because you are you are angry. Why have you done this? His stern and angry look made her tears come even harder. I am not angry, she sobbed. I am very sorry I made the peanut too dark. Once Govinda Dasi lent the dictating machine to a god sister who broke it, and Prabhupada became disgusted. You American boys and girls, you are rich men's sons, so you simply think you can break something and then throw it in the street and buy a new one. You do not take care of such things. Only one person should use machine. You should not have allowed her to use it. These words devastated Govinda Dasi and she retired to cry for a while. But she soon recovered and Prabhupada acted as if the sin had never taken place. Govinda Dasi took the chastisement as a test of her sincerity, and she had learned that Prabhupada's thunderbolts were generally followed by his usual kindness and gentleness. Prabhupada rarely went anywhere alone, for his disciple It was unthinkable that he should go somewhere without one of them accompanying him to care of for his need or the confront whatever difficulties might arise. So when one afternoon Govinda Dasi looked in Prabhupada's room and found him gone, she became perplexed. Seeing that his shoes were gone, she ran out of the street, unable to see him in either direction. She ran down to the corner where she saw him in a distance, walking away. When she finally caught up to him, he asked in a voice distraught and breathless, and where are you going? Why have you left? Prabhupada laughed quietly as he walked erect with his cane, his movements flowing. Oh, he said, I'm just going to the bank. It's all right. I will be back. Govinda Dasi apologizes for the being so demanding. I just thought you shouldn't go alone because you have been ill. Prabhupada snapped back. What do you know? Physician Hill has he walked on, leaving Govinda Dasi behind. As far as Prabhupada was concerned, it was Govinda Dasi who was sickly, not he. She was always bundled in the sweaters and coats or blowing her nose. Once he had gone into the room where she and Gaura Sundaram worked, and it had been messy, with tissue thrown here and there. This is why you are always getting sick, he had said, because of uncleanliness. Another day, Prabhupada, accompanied by Gaura Sundara and Govinda Dasi, was walking out of the house on his way to the temple when he began laughing, saying, Yes, Govinda Dasi, everything is nice. You are an excellent secretary, an excellent cook, and you are good at everything. Your only disqualification is that you are a woman. But don't worry, next life you shall be a brahmachari. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Govinda Dasi replied, enjoying Prabhupada's joking mood. Gaura Sundara was quite a young man, steady in his duty. He liked to study Prabhupada's book and could understand the philosophy. Although negligent about studying Bengali and therefore sometimes unable to translate the verses Prabhupada had assigned, he was a careful servant and Prabhupada was pleased with his work. Often Prabhupada, taking the part of the Mayavadi, would debate with Gaura Sundara. Early one morning, Srila Prabhupada walked into the room where Gaura Sundara was sleeping and woke him with an argument of Mayavadi philosophers. Krishna's personalities must be a product of illusion because the absolute is defined as beyond personality, and Gaurasundara had to immediately refute the argument. Prabhupada would sometimes remark that eventually Gaurasundara and Govindadasi should travel together to some part of the world and preach. Krishna consciousness had to be introduced in so many places, and Prabhupada envisioned that one day his servant and secretary would go off to open a new center. Taking care of my body, he said, is not such an important thing. One day, Prabhupada and Gaura Sundara were discussing philosophy while Govindadasi spent a long time in kitchen and washing pots and dishes. The noise of her cleaning carried into Prabhupada's room. She has this cleanliness disease, Prabhupada warned. My wife and daughter also had it. You should catch it while it is not developed, otherwise, it will get worse. I caught my daughter once. She was washing the electric socket by splashing water into them, and I told her, do not ever do this again. If you do this, I will kill you. So she promised she would never do it again. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for reading such an interesting chapter, both 58, 59. So, yes, Mataji, how did you feel? What is your yeah experience? You can also unmute yourself.
Hare Yeah, I thought already unmuted, but yeah. Thank you, Mataji, for giving the opportunity for the reading. And here, like Prabhupada gave, also teach so many things, always taking care of the disciple also. And here in Boston, so how disciple taking care, sometimes Prabhupada also teach how to do and how not to do things. Also, I like that how Prabhupada uh, told their uh, to surrender the Krishna, and Krishna will help. But what is the meaning of Hare Krishna? And then that Kurukshetra Maharaj pastimes also, like singing that Sanskrit sloka, and how what meaning is to when death come, then voice become chalk and difficult to remember Krishna. When we are good at health, and at that time Krishna will take us, then much more better that we can remember Krishna. That I felt, very much touched to my heart. Thank you, Mataji. How is your realization? I want to know from you.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So I apologize first because I have to mute you all the time so that the ego problem doesn't come. Yeah, Mataji, it was very, very nice read. Even I had this feeling about King Kulshekara prayer and why Prabhupada always reminded the disciple that when the body is good in shape, health is there, so one should do maximum effort in Krishna consciousness, because by the time we become frail and fragile and towards the end of our lives, we really don't know how much we can do. So yeah, he that was a constant reminder. And yeah, I well, all these things I connect more, Mataji. Like when he, as you also tried to mention, that when he was leaving Boston, he again was giving instruction, or in a sense a vision, to Pradyumna Prabhu, Satsarup Maharaj, and Jadurani Mataji. And in each of the word, the wisdom is so high. Even when the Mataji was crying, so Prabhupada wrote back the letter that do not worry, always have faith in Krishna. He'll take care. Don't become so mm, so so much hopeless, or yeah. So that was so nice. And again, I was also thinking one part, because when he came to Montreal, he was recovering a very big health challenge. He had a heart attack a year ago, but reading through the chapter, it feel like, well, we can see from Prabhupada that he is not just stuck in the past. Okay, my health was not good. He had such a big plans that, okay, yes, the plan is I am building temple now, the book publication, then Krishna consciousness spreading mission in Europe. So yeah, that was also something very attractive to me, that the grand vision, irrespective of whatever he is there, he is truly a Krishna man. So yeah, at all instant and in all his dealing, Prabhupada reflects that. So yes, Mataji, this is what I liked. Thank you so much for reading. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Satish Prabhu.
Harika Mataji, and
Yeah.
yes, Mataji, thank you for reading this, very nice, blissful chapter, Mataji. And again, a chapter. I think the starting with the name of Prabhupada, right? So that's a very special name, because sometimes he used to get confused, because Prabhupada name was always used earlier also, Mataji. So a beautiful explanation. Prabhu means Guru, and Pada is the lotus feet of Krishna. So I think from there, I think the name was apt. Mataji, I had one doubt. I know Srila Prabhupada had, two heart attacks, right, on the way
Yeah.
to America. So this was the third attack, is it, Mataji?
No,
Or
I think it is the second and first time we say that when he was traveling in this ship Jaladuta for the very first time. One time he had it then. in
Okay.
the ship. And this is the second time when he
Okay.
was already in US and he had to go back. So this
Okay.
is the second time.
Okay, okay. Yes, Mataji. So, yeah, and as you rightly said, Mataji, like, you know, there is nothing that can stop, Prabhupada, right? So, when the U.S. government, because I think that was the time of Oshu also, I think, Mataji. I don't know if that was the time when he was also there in the West. I don't know. Maybe I can quickly Google later. But that created a lot of controversy because of his, practices. And in spite of that, Prabhupada kind of, fought through. And also being in the from Canada and then moving and taking this as an opportunity to come to this part of the world, the other side of the Pacific. So I think it's very inspirational, Mataji. That never say give up attitude kind of thing.
Yeah, yes, this is something which I really, 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 I think I have to have in me also,
Yes,
some way that, yeah, this is well the highlight because he is such an old man with nothing and full faith in Krishna. This is the exhibition of full faith. Even for the printing of books, he is just telling disciples that don't worry, if you follow my instruction and keep faith on Krishna, everything will be a success. So there is nothing beyond Krishna. The agenda is also there is no hidden agenda, just clear motivation to please spiritual master, have faith in Krishna, and serve. That's it. In words, it is so straight, but in practice,
yes, Mataji.
yeah,
It
it
is not
has to
only,
be.
yes, Mataji. That's what there is also nice saying that in spite of all these things, Prabhupada is very simple. His sadhana, he and devotees, that was his only thing. And they also described about the food that he ate, Mataji. Puffed rice, very very simple and in spite of because sometimes we feel, as you rightly said, Mataji, we kind of give up. We are lazy. We think, okay, what should we do? Why should we do? But I think this Shraddha are always inspirational, Mataji. And Mataji, I just checked actually, this Oshu's movement was only in 1980. So thankfully, Prabhupada did not have to face that challenge, Mataji. So I think,
Yeah, but in a way, there were so many other yogis, na Prabhuji. That
correct. Yes, Mataji.
that influence was also there. And also, I would like to mention Prabhuji. I think that we know now that he had this heart attack on Jaladuta, but I don't think so. The devotees knew before because I think Prabhupada revealed this thing later to them. So the devotees there didn't know that while first time when Prabhupada was coming, he had a heart attack on Jaladuta. At what time he revealed, I am not very sure,
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Like that. And I also like that jovial dealing which he always have with the
Right.
disciples.
The rat trick.
Yeah, in a way, it is a sense of complete family, right? When
Exactly.
the disciples are also fully surrendered, Prabhupada is also for them serving disciple and serving the mission.
Exactly, Mataji.
So one has to have that all flavors, so
Exactly,
all
Mataji.
rasas.
Yeah. I
So it
see
is,
that also in Keshav Maharaj also. He comes all of a sudden to serve. He makes a lot of jokes. Also, Sudama Prabhu, this
yeah,
being right. I think they are inspired by their spiritual master. But maybe I'm not so close to the Maharaj from other Sampradayas. I don't know if
yeah.
they are that way, but at least I know in Sri Sampradaya, I cannot expect Ahobil Maharaj to, do
No
like
problem. It is more of reverence and awe and respect over there. Even we also don't know so much, but the feel comes like that.
correct, exactly, Mataji. At least, once I went with my jeans when I was like very, very young, in my early teens, and I will never forget the kind of the agony that I faced from people around the Hobila Mataji here. But yeah, this is like beautifully made, Mataji. Yes,
Yes. So that is why I think we feel that Prabhupada is as well of something very close to
very
heart.
close, exactly. Beautifully put, Mataji. Yes, that's why we feel he's very close, and yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thanks.
Thank
Yeah,
you
yes,
very much.
Prabhuji. I think the important point here is like I think Srila because of Srila Prabhupada, the bhakti process became more enjoyable.
Absolutely, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Totally, Prabhuji. Because this personal dealings and all, Prabhuji. You never find. For example, Prabhuji, like my mom. Sorry, Prabhuji. I'm sorry. Like my mom got initiated by as I told you in Sri Sampradaya, but
Yes.
they gave a book and they said to her, okay, you can read this at the start. This kind of a community, like, we come together reading things, that is totally missing, Prabhuji. So all these things, I don't know if it was from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time or Prabhupada created this, but this personal dealings, Prabhuji, that's like, very nice, Prabhuji.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So hopefully we'll meet tomorrow. If nobody has other engagements, then yeah, we'll come tomorrow again and continue this 59th chapter. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Vancha Katarubhyascha Sindhuvya Nam Vaishnavi Śrīla Prabhupāda. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.